Ekonene. So on Wednesday night kuna vile Duale alibaki ameishia JKL and they discussed a lot of stuff but nataka tuangalia a few of the things that stood out, and of course one of the things that stood out was story na June 25th and the way June 25th haikuwa spontaneous and apparently ilikuwa ni coup, ilikuwa planned and of course haku confirm wati wanasema Gachagua ndio alikuwa ameplan hiyo coup, but you could see that what Duale was hinting.
So it was a coup that day?
25th of June, there was a planned coup. There was a regime change. There was a serious plan of a regime change.
Was Rigathi Gachagua any part of that?
Don't take me that route. But I'm sure now I'm the Minister for Environment. Ask me about Nairobi River. Ask me about waste management. I'm sure the custodian of intelligence and security.
Yes. But you were Defense CS then.
Yes.
You were Defense CS.
I was a Defense CS. So when I retire, I'll write a book.
I know.
So mecheki. So kuna hiyo kuhint that Rigathi Gachagua was trying to do the coup, but hiyo siku kama kuna watu wote walikuwa wanataka coup, it was the Kenyan youth, and that's why when the violence was being meted out, the violence was never meted out on Gachagua, it was meted out on innocent Kenyans. So to say that these innocent Kenyans had been paid is to be najua. But of course during this discussion walienda pa kibonga juu ya Gachagua, and I can say maybe from this guy you can understand Gachagua more than sisi from the outside, because kumekuwaga na hizi rumors za Gachagua. Kama there was this headline ilikuwa on October 22nd kwa kenyatimes.com, ilikuwa ni Itumbi reveals how Gachagua beat him up in Eldoret. Alafu Gitumbi alikuwa ameandika I choose to let go of past hurts including the moment on August 15, 2024 at Eldoret State Lodge when you threatened to wait for me to get to the president's office so that you can kick, slap, punch and later finish me, and all that in full view of security colleagues and the president's secretary. I believe in the power of forgiveness and I release that burden with grace. Wajaseka Itumbi ujuaga kujihumble na kujifanyisha the way they are these people who like they are very religious and they're not vindictive and all that nonsense, and a lot of people fall for that bullshit. And of course Itumbi has been just like he's one of those loyalists wa Ruto najua, and it's going to be very beautiful if one day Ruto needs to survive 2027 and he has to get rid of Itumbi. That will be very funny to see, but will that day happen? Most probably, especially kama ODM na Nini zitaendelea kumaintain, they'll want to replace him with an ODM blogger. But sasa nani alitry ku break down hii story akibonga juu ya vile Itumbi nani ujingiza kwa beef zingine zilafai kujingiza, and this actually is something that I agreed with him, that if you are a president you have to reach a certain level where like if you're a deputy president lazima ufike a certain level where you can ignore some people. You don't have to fight every battle and you don't have to keep asserting your authority. I always say that if you have to keep reminding people to respect you, then you are not worthy of respect, and this is something that a lot of Africans struggle with, especially adults. Inakuwaga, kwa nini uniheshimu, kwa nini uniheshimu? Sikuheshimu juu hujiheshimu.
But if you ask me, it's good to invest in friends. And I think the current former deputy president, he invested more in fighting people from his backyard and everywhere, including fighting small people like Dennis Itumbi, Farouk Ibet. You know, when you are big, you don't come to ground zero.
Yeah.
You stay up. So
you're saying he was a bully?
No, he invested. Let me use the right word. He invested more in creating enemies than friends.
Yeah, he invested in creating enemies than friends. Of course, umse tunamkumbuka alikuwa anapandaga juu ya gari every time, and every time he got an opportunity to smack the opposition, he did. And with that, of course, you can try and imagine. I think kuna time mpaka Raila alimuitaga chietha. Because remember, every time alipata opportunity ya kudisrespect Raila alikuwa na disrespect. And maybe if he had not, we never know these things. Maybe that would have been the thing that would have helped him to execute his coup on June 25th. Because if the opposition had joined him, kwa hiyo nini yake, of course hiyo coup ingekuwa successful, so the opposition joining the government was important. But the moment kona sikiza hii interview, one thing you can see ni tushabonga juu story, but Duale is someone who really admires the president, unajua, and the president can do no wrong in this guy's book. And one of the things that had to come up ilikuwa history ya extension of term limits, and Duale answered it, and I'm sure to a lot of people this answer was sufficient, but kwangu ni different. Power is sweet. Ukigo back in time utabaki umeona like kulikuwa na headline ya Museveni akisema I will not cling on to power. This is 38 years later, Museveni is clinging on to power. So according to Mimi, I fully believe that Ruto is the one telling Cherargei to test the waters. And even if they don't test the waters right now, what's going to happen is they're going to focus on the 2027 elections. And if they win the 2027 elections, what they're going to do is they're going to wait till 2029 and start bring this nonsense back. And by 2031, we'll be going for a referendum. And in that referendum, if kama Kenyans hawajaamka na hatujafanya watoto wetu wale ni watoi saizi hiyo time wale wanaweza kuvote waweze kuvote, this guy is going to change the constitution and try to live forever, yani, and try to rule this country forever. Because don't forget, if Kenya does not get another Raila very soon, this main Raila will be too old to help us fight that battle. Alafu tutakuwa na shida, because at least ODM will release statement. We'll talk about the ODM statement, but let's hear what Duale said.
Someone wants to extend the president's term from 5, not just president, even governors and MCAs and senators and MPs, from 5 years to 7 years.
Don't worry.
Huh?
It will not even see the light of the day in first reading in the Senate. It's like driving on thicker superhighway with your brakes faulty. That is not something that should worry Kenyans. Kenya, and that requires a referendum. But I can tell you, he needs 2/3 in the Senate. He needs 2/3 in the National Assembly. He won't even get 10 people.
He's in your party.
No. He doesn't. No, our party has made its position very clear. The president has made his position very clear. And our party, nobody curtails the freedom of another. A member of parliament has his legislative rights enshrined in Article 93, 94, 95, and for the same for the Senate 96.
Nasikia hii nonsense ati no one curtails nini. Saizi ukicheki msanaitwa Dede Nyoro anarushwa nje because he did not toe the party line. So hakuna stories zozote ati hii party sijui iko na hii what is it called, that democracy. This is Ruto trying to hang on to power, and they're going to bring this thing back. I think most probably the time they're going to really push it itakuwa hapo 2031 hapo, because they'll want hii term yake yote ile ameran ikuwe declared null and void so that he can run for another term. Power is that sweet, especially if you're busy signing very stupid deals with akina Adani where we are going to enslave Kenya for the next 30 years. You not want to leave power, because what if the next president decides to do the right thing? Kama vile in Bangladesh they are cancelling contract ya Adani. What if the next president wants to cancel not only contract ya Adani but also go back and see, let's recover some stolen public land, Weston Hotel crashed, let's nini. Because don't forget, when Kibaki aliingia, the first thing that Kibaki alido of course ni kureclaim procession land. Procession land was from Ruto, so that was taken back from him. And but apart from that, kuna watu walikuwa wamegrab parts of roads. So kama Thika Road kulikuwa na Nakumatt ilikuwa hapo, ili end up imeangushwa. So what makes you think that there is no president who's going to come and say, Weston, it stands on public land, it needs to go? That's going to happen. And that's the best thing Mufrayaga Ruto over stretch his hand. Like every time he does these things that shows he's the president, I'm like, thank you, because as soon as you umetoka, someone else might do the right thing. But sasa ODM walienda po release a statement on this, and one side I'm happy because at least I feel like maybe they are serious, because nimekuwa nikisema hii story, there's no way term limit ita happen without the blessing of ODM. That's going to be impossible. For you to get that 2/3, you need ODM on your side. So this is what they ended up saying. Ilikuwa press statement by the ODM county chairpersons, then ikaendelea, then wakasema kitu kama gani, ilikuwa the people affected, ilikuwa nini, The leaders have further resolved to oppose the proposed amendments to the constitution to extend terms of elected leaders from 5 to 7 years and called on the ODM MPs to shoot down the said proposals in parliament. So at least this is what they said. So hopefully we won't have this nonsense. We can never, I think Kenya and African countries wagana hii ujinga moja, and I keep saying this thing, where we always believe that only one person can do something. There's nothing like that. That's the reason why saizi ukienda kwa mdosi wako alafu quit job yako, atakwambia sawa, atashake mkono yako, someone else will step in. And this happens with any job. We are the employers, Ruto is the employee. And that means that one day when he retires, he gets defeated in an election, the country will continue. The country will never stop because of him. The country existed before him. The country will exist after him. That's just the basic thing of nature. And that's how nature works. So this thing where, because right now, one day when we have a leader who's actually a true leader, and he comes and amalize corruption, create jobs, abaki boost the economy, because the Kenyan economy, according to me, can be doubled in 5 years if you fight corruption and make sure there's no zero money. There's zero money being lost, and then you recover all the stolen money from Nairobi County. Vile Sonko alikuwa anatuambia sijui alikuwa anachukua dongapi per day, then ukienda uchukue Sakaja vile saizi, like his allegations ni he's one of the most corrupt people ever. I don't know how true that is, but amekuwa kienjoyiwa, sijui ameficha do Somalia, sijui nini vile zote anasema ni allegations. But if you're the president, you have to look into all these allegations and see, like, is this guy actually what people are saying? Is he the most corrupt person to ever live? So Nairobi peke yake, if we account for every single shilling, Nairobi would just become ridiculously different. And then Kenya and what. So what happens when we get that leader and that leader does his job? Are we going to say after his 10 years that, oh, don't retire, let's change the constitution because you did your job? No. Hata kama wewe ndio ule mtu umetutoa from third world to first world, after 10 years we shake your hands, you go. The last thing that you should do is make sure that by the time unatoka, make sure institutions ziko strong. Number one thing, make the police independent. Make it be in such a way that the executive has zero control on the police. According to Mimi Mushinaka nikisema, I'd want a situation whereby the people actually elect the police. Wacheki vile place kama states kuna kuagana hizi stories za district attorney. Try to imagine a situation whereby si ndio tuna elect the IG of police. Yes, he's a qualified policeman, but we have to elect them. So they know for them to survive, they need us more than they need the executive. We'd have a situation whereby all these extrajudicial killings would stop. And natukimalizia na stories extrajudicial killings, of course kuna hii statement ilibaki imetoka from like different ambassadors wakicondemn like what has been happening. Because unajua mse wetu vile aliingiaga, like the first thing alidanganyana ni vile sijui abductions and what zitakuwa thing of the past. And right now what we've seen is there've been more abductions per square time, wacha tusitumie square kilometer, than there has been ikikam to temata ya Uhuru na Kibaki. So this was on the 31st of October 2024. Ilikuwa joint statement by ambassadors and high commissioners. Alafu ilikuwa we extend our congratulations to Kenya on its election to the United Nations Human Rights Council. Inakuonyesha vile the United Nations Human Rights Council is full of shit, because Kenya ifai kuwa anywhere near that. Then ikasema the council faces great challenges in promoting and protecting human rights worldwide, and its work in ever more essential. And its work is ever more essential. As active members or observers to the council, we will support Kenya in corralling the political will necessary to effect change. Kenya's own constitution and its national legislation set out the rights and fundamental freedoms to which each of its citizens are entitled. It establishes the Bill of Rights as the framework for its economic and social policies. Upholding human rights leads to stability and prosperity. Therefore, we note our concern over ongoing reports of arbitrary arrest and enforced disappearances despite the High Court rulings. It's crucial to ensure the rule of law prevails and the rulings of the judiciary are followed. We note President Ruto's commitment that such incidents will not happen under his watch, and that all individuals involved will be held accountable. So such happenings up to saizi hatujui pale Aoko yuko, unajua, like where is Aoko, everyone is still writing free Aoko. Then swift and transparent investigations will enable Kenya to demonstrate to the world its commitment to upholding rights as it takes up its seats on the United Nations Human Rights Council. It's so funny that Kenya get a seat on the United Nations Human Rights Council. You're there wondering, like, which other countries were there that we beat? Uganda, Tanzania, Somalia, like who else did we beat? And ikamalizwa ka imesainiwa na the Royal Danish Embassy, Embassy of Finland, Embassy of the Federal Republic of Germany, Embassy of Ireland, Embassy of the Netherlands, Embassy of Norway, Embassy of Sweden, Embassy of Switzerland na the British High Commission. So walienda po wamesaini hiyo. Let's hope hizi abductions zitastop. And still bado tunashindwa udem anaitwa Aoko yuko wapi? Is she dead? Is she alive? And I wouldn't be surprised hata akipatikana akiwa maiti, cause hii gava vile unaijua, it is that government not to mess with. But yeah, iko nene.